Unstoppable kick-ass confidence. Are you ready?
Welcome to the Raw and Unscripted show with Christopher Rausch, where we help you overcome your self-created crap without the self-help fluffy bullshit. Now please welcome our host, Christopher Rausch.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Hello, and here is Christopher Rausch, your No Excuses coach, back with another episode of Raw and Unscripted, with Christopher Rausch, Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we bring you a guest or we bring myself, and we just talk about what things you can actually do to become unstoppable, how to have that kick-ass confidence that just gets your mind going, gets your mind changing the beliefs and the perspectives that you have in order to achieve what it is that you have not been able to achieve as of yet. That's the whole thing. As of yet, we don't call failures and mistakes bad things. Those are learning opportunities for us to grow. And that's what we do here is we take the situations in our lives that may have been perceived as something that was negative, and we spin that around and we try to figure out how we can use that as leverage in order to avoid making those same mistakes again in the future. Because if you learn from your mistakes, and most of us hopefully do, then that's how we grow and that's how we become stronger. And that's the point of the show, is to really bring you the raw and unscripted version of what me, myself, and I and my guests are thinking about, so that you can know what really it takes to have that kick-ass life without all the self-help fluffy bullshit. You guys hear me talk about that. I just want you walking away and being energized every single week, that you can actually take and apply what it is that we're talking about here on the show. That is my goal, that you get off the show and that you're able to implement those things right away. What's up, Glenda? Good to see you. Good to see you. Thank you guys all for being here. Of course, as usual, I know some of you guys are jumping on. Good evening, Paul. Good to see you, brother. Thank you so much for being here. Glad you had a great Thanksgiving up there in Canada. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So the guest that I have on tonight, excuse me, I've been talking all day. The guest I have on tonight is really just a really cool dude. And when I say a cool dude, you're going to see what I mean. Edwin's become a friend of mine over COVID. We actually joined in this leadership excellence club where we get together once a week, and as men, we just sit there and we help each other grow and call ourselves on our bullshit and really just learn and grow together as a vulnerable group. And most of the time when I've been involved in situations like that, there's been a lot of selling or whatever it is. And honestly, this group of guys is just magnificent. And Edwin is just one of those beings that you're going to totally be connecting with really soon and really fast. You guys know me for my walk and talks, right? I go out there and I film. Usually it's me and Ozzy, and I do my walk and talks. So Edwin goes out there and he does his walking with purpose. Right. So he actually just takes his cell phone and he just talks, and he calls it Walking with Purpose. It's not produced or anything. It's just him talking and riffing. And I got to tell you, the stuff that he drops is magnificent. You got to go check him out once we're done here interviewing here. But I just love talking to this man. So let's bring Edwin on to the group. What's going on, Edwin? How you doing, brother?
Man, I'm doing great, Chris. I appreciate that intro and your energy, and thank you for having me here, my man.
No, it's a pleasure to have you here. Really, truly appreciate it. And what's up, Kaylee Robertson Hart? Thank you for being here. She says, hey, Chris. So I forgot to tell you, every once in a while, I'm just going to do stuff like this. I'm going to post people's comments.
Oh, awesome.
You guys are free to ask any questions that you want of myself or Edwin. Share your experiences as we're talking, because this is an inclusive conversation for us. Here's what we're doing Tuesday night. We're getting inspired. We're sharing our vulnerabilities. We're getting stronger. And, in the end of an hour, we walk away and we apply that stuff during the week and we help other people out. So thank you so much for being here. And anytime during this conversation you're digging it, please share that out. We really appreciate it. We want to get the message out. We want to impact as many people as we possibly can, especially during this time. At the time of the taping of this, we're going through COVID. It's crazy. It's already October. It happened in March. We thought it was going to be a couple of months. I just watched a podcast the other day, and the guy was like, I don't know what's going to happen if it goes until June. Right. And I was just like, it's gone. Right. I got chills, it's like,
right.
Okay, this is going on. Susan, right. So good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Hey, Kaylee, she helps run the PTSD page. Awesome. With Jean-Guy. Thank you so much. Such a great and powerful group being there for everybody. I really respect all you guys.
That's
and then
awesome.
We got Shane Schultz in the house. What's up, Shane? Speaking of the Heart Podcast Network, that's what this show is brought to you, by the way. I have it written right in front of me and I just missed it. We are brought to you by the Speaking of the Heart Podcast Network. And of course, as always, be sure to go check out our new Phoenix Radio, which is pretty badass. So thank you, Shane, for being here. But Edwin, so speaking of COVID and everything, and we met back in March, I think it was. How have you been doing through this whole time? You and I haven't chatted, so for full transparency to everybody out there, how have you been during this time? What has this time really meant for you and your family?
Right. It's interesting, Chris. This time has been really reflective more than anything else. It was, it was like I've been training for a while, and it was like it was a hook, an unexpected hook that you take. Yeah, yeah, it was definitely one of those. And at the same time, I'm grateful that I was on a personal growth journey during that time also. So it was this perfect storm of me engulfing myself in myself and in growth in my family and learning better ways to be close to my family, be successful in my business, and better ways to connect. And then COVID hit, and it was like, oh, wow, I was working on improving these things. So now it's a perfect opportunity for me to really enhance these skills, and not so much for myself, honestly, for myself, for self-discovery and for healing and for watering, or however, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
And it was, and it was, so for me, I mean, it's been a lot of exploring, it's been a lot of exploring. It's been a lot of discovery. There's been a lot of fear. There's been a lot of anger. There's been some joy involved. My daughter's growing and seeing her grow. And then there's been a lot of sadness and seeing the virtual learning and the difficulties and the stress that comes with that. And, and then at the same time, there's this, I mean, there's been some pain, man. There's been some pain. There's been some pains. My grandmother turned 80. I wasn't able to see her for her birthday. Oh. She lives in Colombia, so I wasn't able to travel to go see her. I have family that fortunately have not been affected by the virus, but I do have some friends whose family have been affected by the virus. And, it's like, and then hearing different things, seeing different things, it's like, there's so much division. There's all this, just so much chaos. So I've been going with, I'm on the ocean, man. I'm on this.
I'm feeling you like, you're like, I'm good. I'm like,
right.
Like, I mean, most of us, like, one minute you're like, okay, this is what it is. It's going to be done. I was sitting there thinking, okay, by summertime, we're going to be good. And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, then another thing, then another thing, and another thing. It's like, really, how much more idiocracy can we have in the world today, and trying to figure it out and try to stay in the middle of it, right? And not be on one side of the thing or the other side of the thing, help our friends and our family kind of stay in the middle of it so they don't get caught up in that riptide and everything else. I mean, how do you do that with your family? I mean, as a family unit, how do you guys keep your wits about you?
So I think the most helpful thing is knowing that we're individuals, honestly, has been, and it's interesting because even me kind of saying that, I'm like, man, that sounds too simple, but it really is that. It's like the thought process that I know my wife has her interests, and I want her to cultivate those interests, and knowing that I want to provide her space for those interests and for her to, discover herself as well. And then knowing that my daughter has her interest and wants to discover herself, and also knowing that I have my interest, and sometimes my interest involves like having them involved in everything, and sometimes that's not what they see. So it's honestly, I believe the biggest thing, to sum it down, is creating space. It's been a very beautiful lesson for me, I think, during this season, is creating space and holding space for, myself and for my family, because we're all going through it in our own way.
Yes, we're actually, I mean, it's such a great point, Evan. And when you say space, are you also saying in that space to have that, to make sure that we're making time for self-love and self-care in that space?
I absolutely, like the empathy that comes with that, right? Where now I'm seeing myself in them, in whatever situation that they're in, right? And me seeing myself in them is me saying, I'm angry that you're saying this right now, and I know that I'm angry that you're saying this right now, but why am I angry that you're saying this right now, right? And then realizing, well, I'm seeing a projection. I'm actually looking in the mirror right now, and looking in the mirror is a bit, it's a bit scary, and it's a bit difficult, and it's something that historically I would be really good at avoiding and separating myself from, right? And then saying, okay, Yeah. Awesome. I'm glad I'm not alone. Right.
Nope.
Right. No. Yeah.
As long as I don't see it, it's not there.
Exactly. I'll fog it up a little bit with some water just so that way I can get through the day. So, it's really, and like you said, man, the self-love, and really calling accepting myself as a gift, right? In any given situation, and then accepting the moment. I mean, something that you say that really resonates with me is moments. When we first talked, it's like you said something about moments, and I love that. We connected with that where it's, these moments and seeing myself in these moments and appreciating the time and the now has been a rewarding and a challenging, man. I mean, it's also, there's a challenge involved with that also.
Right. But when they talk about, the risk versus reward situation, so many people forget that the challenge, the reward is so much greater when we face that challenge and we go after it and we like, okay, yeah, this is going to be a motherfucker, but you know what? I'm going to get through it one way. I'm going to go over it, through it, under, but I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to look back at that. I'm going to be like, okay, I had to learn that. I had to go through that. Right. I mean, I was telling somebody the other day, I was coaching somebody the other day, and I said, because they were like, I'm tired of the pain and I'm tired of this and I'm tired of that. And I'm like, guess what? The rest of your life is going to just the waves. I didn't use the waves, but I said, have you ever climbed to the top of anything? They're like, oh yeah. I'm like, give me an example. Well, we go hiking. I'm like, you get to the top. What is at the top? The view. I'm like, yeah. Well, you didn't just get the view. You had to work your ass off to get up to the view. So did you enjoy that hike? Do you do that for physical reasons? Does it clear your mind? Yeah. Okay. So why can't you look at the other things in your life, those challenges and those things, the pain? Why can't you just look at it as another mountain to climb? And when you climb, you get to look at it and go, I did it. I didn't run away from it. I didn't, do my usual stuff and go to my short-term gratifications. I conquered the hill, and oh, look, there's 17 more hills. But guess what? I'm going to do the same thing I did with this hill. I'm going to go up it and I'm going to figure it out. And I'm going to get to the top and go, hey, beautiful view. And then I'm going to go down and do my own thing again. I mean, right?
I mean, I love what you say in the intro, where it's like, without the fluffy self-help bullshit, right? And I love that, because it involves pain. The climb involves some shape form of pain. You're either sore when you get up there, or you slipped and you scraped your knee. And now, hey, I can't step on those kinds of rocks because of how slick they look. So I get to be careful. So throughout the process, you're learning, you're gaining so much data, and there's also, there's a view as you're climbing, as you're going. Yeah. So it's this thing where I agree, man. The journey. It's like loving something. I keep repeating in my head too, is embracing the journey. Like loving the journey. Yes. and loving the pain and navigating, using the pain to navigate, and yeah, so I'm with it, man. I love that.
No, man, that's why we think alike. That's why we think alike. Hello, Pamela. Hello, Glenda. Hello, Larry. Thank you guys all for being here. Jacqueline Rose, what's up? Jacqueline is one of the great kick-ass supporters. All you guys are great kick-ass supporters. Awesome. Shane says here, he says both my parents had and survived COVID virus. It was the hardest time and rewarding time. They found their way on the other side. On the other side of what? On the other side of healing. You got to be careful. I just got notification that somebody that I know just passed away. So I was like, on the other side. That's what I think about.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. So thank you guys all for being here. Yeah, no, it is. And I choose to challenge people, and let me know what you think about this, Edwin. When I think about the word pain, pain is, we've been brought up to something that you avoid. Okay, don't get hurt. Where as little kids, like mommy and daddy are like, don't get hurt, be careful. You don't want any owies. It's like, okay, no, there's Bactine and Band-Aids. If I get an owie, it's going to be okay. And then maybe I learn, I do something. We're taught that pain is bad, but I ask people to reposition pain in their brain and say, okay, listen, if pain is actually something that's great, like if you say money is great, or you say confidence is great, if you look at it and say pain is great, because pain can be the leverage and the motivator to get you unstuck from the mediocre life that you've been, playing every day, the someday game. I hope, wish, and pray that someday everything's going to happen. I'm going to win the lottery and doing that. But pain is actually the greatest amount of leverage, because when you associate that pain as good and you look at it as, okay, what can I do to use that as fire to get over something that I need to get over in order to see that next view? I mean, doesn't pain become a good thing? Like I use it even in my walking, like my hips hurt, my legs hurt, but I'm like, okay, most people would say, hey, calm down, Chris, and rest. but I'm like, okay, that pain maybe is there because the rest of the muscles around it aren't strong enough. So I'm going to go through a little bit of pain to make all the other muscles stronger so that it supports that area so that I'm not in pain in the long run, playing that long game. What are your thoughts on that, Edwin?
You know, what was it? Something. So I do this work right now. I do some coaching. I do some coaching work, and I've been, we mentioned, we mentioned emotional intelligence. You posted that, and it's something that I was thinking about. I think the quote was like our love is the legacy of our pain.
Ooh.
And it's something that something I got from the Right Foundation. I don't know if I'm blurting that it was Dr. Judith that wrote it, but I mean, it's just amazing information there. And thinking about how I agree with that. I agree. We get information from our pain. So it's scary. I think there's fear. It's like there's layers to that emotion, right? So our brain, I understand our brain wants to protect us from pain. And I think, it's first, I appreciate that about myself, right? Where how I've created systems to protect myself from pain. And they've been really effective systems. And I also realize how these systems have actually blocked me from reaching the things that I really want in my life. Right. So I'm protecting myself from pain, but I'm also protecting myself from joy. So it's like this, it's like this mind fuck. I don't know how else to describe it, to be honest with you, where I'm locked in this web of, oh, okay, let me be safe. Now I'm safe, but I'm miserable.
Right.
Right. I'm sad. Why am I not happy? Right. Well, it's because, I kept myself safe. And actually the pain, I agree with you. The pain is good. This pain, there's joy in pain. There's good data in pain. There's information that could lead you forward. In pain, you learn, okay, you know what? Maybe this isn't the person, right, that I can work with right now, right? I tried it. I went for it. It's like trying to it's a relationship. Let's break it down to a relationship and someone who's scared to date because they've been hurt before, right? So I've been hurt, so therefore I'm not going to put myself out there, because putting myself out there is me accepting or putting myself in pain. Where it's like, well, no, I believe you can look at that pain. Who hurt you, right? And how did they hurt you? What did they do that hurt you? Right. And then why did that hurt you? And I'm learning that some of my pain comes from when I was 5 years old.
Talk to me about that. Because I know you just did one of your Walking with Purpose and talking about pain and visiting that. That is so huge. I talk about that all the time, dude.
Man, no, yeah, brother. Look, I had a moment, I had to grow up really fast. And there was a moment where suddenly I had to grow up fast, and I'm raised. I was being raised by my aunt, and my aunt she was brought up differently. My mother was, man, amazing woman, gave me so much affirmation, gave me so much joy. Gave me so much attention. She just filled me with all this love, and I was used to someone always saying yes to me, right? Someone who anytime I asked, I got it, and I was used to playing specific games with her and doing things with her and playing with her, and I remember all this joy, and suddenly all that was gone. So now I'm in this position where I had a memory of being with my aunt, asking her to do something with her that I would usually get a yes on. I would usually get, yeah, let's engage in this, and just her like, no, I don't do that. Just like, and I remember the pain that came with that, because now I'm like, oh, okay, life is different now. Like, I'm not going to get what I used to get. So now so it's crazy. So I created this system for myself where I don't engage fully with people, right? So let me not engage fully, because if I engage fully, I'm going to get hurt.
Yes.
Right. So now my connections historically weren't genuine, right? My connections, I wasn't expressing myself fully. I wasn't really saying what was on my mind. I was more subdued, and it was a way for me to protect myself. I was still outgoing. I was still easygoing. There were still things that, people could vibe with me and all that, but there was just like, I wasn't me, man. I wasn't like, I wasn't feeling like me. And there's so much behind that. So thinking back at that memory, I created a good system for myself, but now it wasn't serving me anymore.
Right.
So, I look back at that memory and that pain, and I'm like, wow, first it served me. So I'm honest, I'm honoring myself by saying this pain helped me create a system that protected me from a lot of different situations and put me where I am right now. So I'm grateful for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then at the same time, I'm like, I could think about this differently.
Yes.
I imagine myself right now as I am being in the room, right? While my aunt said no to me, and me looking at her, as an adult and being like, oh no, we're gonna do this, and this was, thanks to my coach. Again, this is, a coach that from the Right Foundation. George Donald, amazing individual. Check him out. He's just, he does videos, but, he helped me kind of with this idea and with this vision. And I'm like, wow, I could go back in time. I could go back in time, and I could grab these tools that I've grabbed from different areas in my life, and I could use these tools to create a different memory for myself, and actually honor that pain that was there, honor what it did for me, the system that I created with it, and then now I could also be like, no, things are different now. This is how I would have responded. This is what I'll respond with, and actually add joy into the memory. Like, now the memory has joy in it, and it's pretty, it's pretty cool, man, to think that I can do that.
And that's beautiful. And thank you so much for sharing that, Edwin. And it's such a great example of how, I talk on the show all the time, like, most of the stuff that fucks us up happens between 0 and 5 years old. Child psychology, all the studies that I've read, even before I had a kid, say that, because I was like, okay, I've always been intrigued, like, what is the root cause of why we're screwed up? And if I can figure out what the root cause of why somebody's screwed up, then I can get to the solutions faster. They can be living life instead of existing in life. And so it's always been thinking of that. And I just started doing a bunch of research. I'm like, where does this happen? Does this happen in our 20s and our teens? And I was like mortified to find out that it was at the young age of 0 to 5. I'm like, how can that be the time when we learn to become the people that we're going to become for the rest of our lives? And then I even dug deeper, speaking of emotional intelligence. And I'm like, okay, why is this? And I'm like, okay, well, I found out that we're born at 9 months because our head is so big that we wouldn't fit through the canal. And the fact that our emotional intelligence, that part of our brain, is not even developed yet. So we don't even have the capacity to understand why people are yelling at us. We go through the conditioning process I talk about all the time. It's like, when you're a baby, for those first 6 months, you can't do anything wrong. You can shit on somebody. You could throw up on somebody. You could fart. You could scream. You could wake people up. You could drop shit. You could break shit. You are fucking not to be messed with. Oh, he's so cute. Isn't that so cute? Isn't that so? Oh my God, they're so. Oh, look at it. It's green. It's green poop, isn't it? I went through every single thing of that. And then, ladies and gentlemen, and then it happens. And then it happens. And I use the story, two ladies are sitting there talking and their kids are playing. And for 2 hours, the kids do nothing but play and are perfect. And the women don't say anything. The moms don't say anything. And all of a sudden one of them does something, spills his milk or breaks something. And then what is it? What are you doing? Oh my God, you just interrupted our thing. And the kid's like, wait a minute, I thought just a minute ago I could shit, fart and break stuff and wake people up and I was good. Now I'm bad. Okay, what's that? And we don't have that. We don't have that ability to discern what's going on. It's like, okay, now I don't want anybody yelling at me because that's not a good feeling. I know feelings. So now I'm going to build that protection. And as long as I'm right, as long as I get good grades, as long as I make everybody happy and I do that for the rest of my life, I should be happy. Right. You follow me? And so then we have these experiences that we don't even have the ability to understand, that emotional intelligence, and the rest of our lives will go, okay, this is the way life is. Okay. Like you said, I got to be protective. And I've met so many people who've been in relationships and I'm like, what do you want? I want to find somebody. And then you dig in. I'm like, you are so buried. If somebody came up and said hi, you'd be like, what the fuck are you looking at? It's like, guess why I got hurt. Well, guess what? We all get hurt. It's okay. You get hurt because that wasn't the one that was supposed to happen. And if you get hurt 25 times and the 26th one is your fucking soulmate and you spend the rest of your life happy, then isn't it worth it? Right? What's your take on that, man?
Oh,
How
man.
can you help people process that? I love how you did that.
I mean, I love what you said about how the jump from I can do whatever I want, now I'm bad suddenly. And what I love about that is the feelings that are involved with that, right? This person is yelling at me, this person is angry. And you said as a baby, I understand feelings. So I know this person is angry at me. I don't want people to be angry at me.
Yeah.
Right. So now complacency kicks in. Right now, what's the word I'm looking for? Conformity. Right.
Yep.
Now conformity kicks in. Right. Where it's like I need to conform to every environment to avoid this feeling that I don't like. I don't like this anger towards me. Right. So it's we evolve, we grow into these beings that are, I believe we're intelligent emotionally, but externally, it's like, let me protect everyone outside besides myself.
Exactly.
And it's like we're doing the opposite, right? We think we're protecting ourselves, but actually we're working hard to protect the outside from us, right? Because we're not enough or we don't matter. Because ultimately that's what we're telling ourselves, I believe. When we tell someone, I was hurt, therefore I'm not going to go and try to look for a relationship. Oh, so you don't matter, right? So what you want for yourself doesn't matter, right? Because you want a relationship, but you don't want to go do it because you were hurt. So you don't matter enough to go out and try to get a relationship, right? And it's with this, and I think it's because of the confusion. It's like growing up with this, like, wait, do I matter? Do I not matter? Like, like I could do whatever I want, so I mattered, but now I can't. So I think I don't matter, but I think I matter because I remember mattering, and it's so now, and then I believe for me at least, what really took over is I don't matter. I don't matter. I'm not enough. I'm not seen. I'm not heard. And the more I would believe that, guess what? The more my surroundings, like, they prove that to me, right?
Exactly.
It's like I created this for myself. But now it's like, no, I matter. I matter. My opinions matter. And someone may get angry, and I don't like that. I may not like that, and I could also say that. And I could feel that, and I could go with what that does for me. That anger might hurt me, or it might scare me, or it might, whatever it does for me. It's now I can actually play with this, and I could actually embrace it. So I think there needs to be more play, man. We need to engage more in that aspect and be kids again. Be those kids in the freaking park, in that sandbox, or wherever we are, spilling milk and making mistakes and it's crazy because it starts, it starts very little. It's insane, man.
I know, isn't it? I mean, and that's why I love talking to you about it, because it's so impactful. And that's what we want you guys out here to really understand. And I just want to highlight some people here. Robert, what's up, Robert? Good to see you. Robert says, good evening, Christopher and Edwin. Robert's one of our kick-ass followers,
Thanks,
part
Robert.
of the Misfits for Life Club. It's really cool when I talk to people and I'm like, one of the practices I do with my coaching clients, depending if we've determined that the problem or the belief system has happened when they were kids, is I will have them write a letter to their younger self and forgive their younger self, because that younger self didn't have the capacity, the tools, the wherewithal to say, hey, no, it's actually these parents or these teachers or these other grownups around here that don't have the wherewithal to give me the right input. So I grow up strong and independent and able to, not be screwed up emotionally. And then people sit there and go the one direction. I had my one friend, he was a disciplinarian and half of his kids, and his kids kept saying, you don't understand me. You don't, And then I had other friends where their parents gave them everything and like, okay, you have all the love and all the support and everything you can want to do in the world. And they said their parents didn't care about them. So, it's so crazy how we go through that. But the most important thing is that as adults that we can look back and say, you know what, hey, what happened? And you said it so perfectly, Edwin, that significance, that wanting to belong, that's what we're born with. That's what we crave. We want that togetherness. And so all of a sudden when we start feeling that isolation or feeling like, if I'm not enough, if I'm lacking in something, then what else am I lacking in? I better play it, like you said, play it safe. And okay, children should be seen and not heard. And it's like, you take all that away and we become these boring adults that are like, why am I miserable? Because we have forgotten to play. I'll never forget this. I was seeing a therapist one time right after my mom passed away, and I wanted to get some feelings out, and I wanted to go see a third party and just kind of see what my perspective was from somebody else who didn't know me or know her. And she was an interesting lady, but one time she asked me this great question that I'll never forget. And she goes, when did you stop being, she goes, Christopher. She goes, I don't want you to be this coach guy anymore. She goes, I just want you to be Christopher. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. This is who I am. And she said, Chris, when did you stop being a kid? And I sat back and said, because, you and I have talked about this, our childhoods are similar. I'm like, when did I stop being a kid? I said, it depends. I said, I have episodes of being a kid, but when I stopped being a kid, when I was a latchkey kid, when I was like 6 or 7 years old, I said, that's when the physical abuse really kind of cranked up. And that's when I was out. I mean, all the different stuff. I became scared. I was getting bullied at school, all these different things. And I was just fighting to hang on to like, okay, who likes me and who will pay attention to me? And I spent a large majority of my life still doing that, going, look at me. I still catch myself doing it now. And I'm like, Chris, what are you doing? Because I never had anybody doing that stuff when I was a little kid. So that pain I carried throughout my life was like, hey, look at me. And people are like, no, we got you. And so it just becomes that vicious cycle. So I love where you're at, man. And I love that you said, okay, let's go back and play with that. Right. So many people are afraid to go back and look at their childhoods, but when you give it a different perspective, you can heal and then you can be a better person to your family. Right.
Well, most definitely. That's what I was going to, I love that you said to your family. That's exactly what I was thinking about. It's the kids. I have a 10-year-old daughter and she's feeling a lot of different things right now, especially school, the way things are, the lack of interaction with her classmates. I mean, it's I could only imagine what she's going through.
Oh yeah, 10, that's rough.
Right. So this is her world right now. No matter how much I try to put myself in her world, it's going to be it's impossible. I'm not in her mind. I'm not in her body, in her mind. It's impossible for me to put myself in her world exactly and feel what she feels. And what I can do is let her feel what she feels, no matter where she is in her life. Like you said about how you knew someone who had everything, right? And then they felt like their parents never cared for them or never loved them. And I think it just goes back to being able to say, hey, it's okay to feel the way you feel, no matter where you are at.
Exactly.
It's okay. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be hurt. It's okay to feel joy in moments where no one else is feeling joy. Because even that's something where, historically I catch patterns. It's like, oh, should I be happy right now? Is it bad that I'm the only one that's smiling and no one else is smiling right now? But it's like, well, no. I mean, what is so wrong about that? Maybe you'll create another smile. Maybe someone else will say, hey, I wanted to do that, and now this person is doing that. Or someone might be like, man, I'm pissed too. Let's talk about this. Is there a change we can make? Is there something that we can do to push forward? Is there something that we can, apply, to do something in life? So, man, it's so important. It's so important for family.
You muted or something.
Oh, so yeah, I'm back.
I'm like, what happened?
I'm back. Yeah, I was getting all graphic. You know what I mean? I'm feeling it. It's just the family piece. And knowing how much control we have. Are the kids, man. It's about the children. And how much control we have in letting our kids feel what they feel and letting them go through what they're going through and not try to control or save. It's like being the rescuer. It's like I have to rescue every situation that my child is going through, because my child can never go through pain. My child can never go through sadness. My child. It's like that's cool.
I'm gonna inflict that sadness and pain on him. God damn it! You gotta learn today.
You gonna learn today,
Like-
but it's like the thought process. And it's like, yeah, you gonna learn today. Like, hey, that's it.
It's gonna happen.
Right.
I let my kids screw up and figure shit out all the time.
Celebrate
My wife
mistakes.
know that, but I'm like, you're gonna learn the stove is hot either now or 2 weeks from now.
Right.
If you want to touch it, touch it.
Right.
I'm like, figure it
Right.
out. You're gonna figure it out. The sooner you can figure it out, the better off you're gonna be.
Right.
What's up, Scott Goyette's in the house? What's up, Scott? My brother. He's my co-host on Friday Night Lives. We're doing a group coaching program together. We're just become fast friends, brothers. So thank you, Gabriel. What's up, man? He says, "What's up, gentlemen? Always love when I get a chance to watch Christopher Rausch."
Hey, man. Christopher Rausch is the man.
Don't do that. Love Edwin's energy. Yeah, I mean, when I told you probably didn't see the intro, Gabriel, but I just talked about this guy is just a solid spirit, a solid soul, just a beautiful person altogether. Speaking of your daughter, what are some of the things that she's dealing with, with the isolation and everything, and how are you able to kind of give her life meaning out of that?
Right. All right. That's a great question. I like that question. Recently it was telling what happened is I told her, has she talked to her friends, was a question that I asked her one time. And because she was feeling down about certain things, and she was feeling as though she's not doing enough for school. And mind you, I mean, this is a young lady that I'm like, dude, you can like, it's like, you're just great. She's just great. Like she's great. She is
You're
great.
biased. You're biased.
I'm biased, maybe a little bit, maybe, but she is great. You know what I mean? It's like no matter what she brings home, I'm proud of her. I'm proud of who she is and who she's becoming and how she thinks. And she puts a lot of pressure on herself. She's very much like her father. I see how many things I've, through my actions, she's looked and said, okay, I need to be that way too. And, I'm dealing with that too. And then, that's a whole other, thing. But, seeing her deal with this, the best conversation that we had was when I told her, well, have you tried talking to your friends about how you feel? And she's like, well, no, I don't want them to think that, I'm weird, or I don't want, there was a lot of, she was judging herself, which
10 years old.
10. And I'm like, I relate to what I relate to you. So okay, letting her express that, not trying to put words in her mouth, and also honestly communicating with her mother, and letting her mother know, hey, this is what we're talking about. This is what's going on.
Great.
And at the same time, she's telling me that she would like for you to do more of this, or she's so now it's like we're collaborating, right? And we're actually, figuring out, and then her mother is saying, well, she's a great kid. She shouldn't be feeling this way. Hey, we can't say how she should and shouldn't be feeling. That's one thing that, let's both embrace, and let's give her the space to feel and let her go through what she's going through. And, talking to her about that and seeing her do that, she talked with one of her friends, and her friend is like, I'm going through the same thing. Like literally was like, Michaela, I'm going through the same thing. And seeing my daughter so happy, saying, hey, I talked to one of my friends and she said she's going through the same thing. And we were able to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, shine your light, kid, go shine bright. People will relate to you. People will relate to you, and people will see. And sometimes I think some people may need a voice, that we have so many, I call it the, I call it the excuse soup. Because I think we have like a big bowl. I think I have a big bowl of soup with a bunch of excuses in it that I can, grab whenever I want to grab in order to say why I'm doing something. But deep down inside, like, there's things that I may be holding back. And when I hear them, I'm like, oh, wow. Whew, I'm glad I heard that. And I'm so grateful. I mean, you, brother, like when I hear you, I'm like, man, I'm so glad I heard that right now. I needed that right now. I want that right now. I want more of that in my life, and I could lean more towards that. And then we start being in a group with each other. You know what I'm saying? And now we see each other and we're connecting, and goes back to like what I crave for and what I think humanity craves for, and what my 10-year-old daughter deep down inside craves for, those connections and those relationships, and letting her know that that's normal. And that, we can talk about it, I think has been paying dividends, man. It's been really great.
Perfect, dude. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I think the most important thing that you said in that, and I know that you're an active participant in this, is actually listening and just really listening and having that wherewithal to make sure that the other parent's on board and making sure that you're talking about that and having a strategy and saying, hey, no. Why do you? She shouldn't feel that. What? Let's talk about that. What is it that you shouldn't be feeling? What are you trying to hide from yourself? Because often we want to cast stones upon our,
Oh yeah, it's so easy.
Uh-huh.
Once you see that projection, once you see that reflection, it's like, oh no. I don't want to be reminded of that.
Mhm.
I grew past that. I'm
Mhm.
I'm beyond that now, and it's like, well, I don't know. Maybe not. If you're
Uh-huh.
part of charge, there's probably something there.
It is. It's so true. I mean, just the act of listening, and like you said also before, I've always been one of those guys that's been pretty confident, like not super confident, but I've been confident enough to like ask the stupid question
Mm.
or bring out the obvious thing in situation. And I can't count you how many times where I've been like, I should just keep my mouth shut. I don't know if that's right. I don't. No, fuck. I just want to ask it, and I just ask it, and I can hear 5 people in the room go, oh, like all the time, and I'm like, oh,
Right,
you,
right,
okay.
right,
Well, no question. The fucking stupid question is the one you don't ask because you don't get a fucking answer to it.
right,
That's the stupid question. If you
right.
want to know, 99% of the chance there's some other guy in the world, a guy in the room or a girl in the room is going to be like, oh man, I didn't even know that too. It's like, just ask and just listen and communicate and have empathy. I mean, that's one of the things that I've really been trying to learn more of through this process, Edwin, with everything, with the social issues, with the political issues,
Mm.
with people losing their jobs, and just everything. Like, part of me wants to say, okay, you guys got to be resourceful. You guys got to get off your ass. You got to do things much differently. I was saying that at the beginning of COVID. I'm like, this is not a time to binge watch Netflix. This is a time to get your fucking family together and figure out what you guys are going to do, because it's not going to be business as usual. And being that harsh and that strong, but also having empathy, but like, okay, those people have had their life this way their whole life, and now it's
Right.
been completely disrupted, and now they don't know what they're going to do. They're in fight or flight mode. They're in panic. They're going back to their little kid selves, and they're trying to figure shit out, and they've got everybody in the world telling them what they should do. So I've been really trying to, okay, how can I be more in their shoes? How can I have more empathy towards what they're going through rather than anger or frustration? Because you said it before, the divisiveness that's going on. Is this? Oh no, actually, I think it was somebody else I was talking about the divisiveness, but
No, we
you know,
talked about it earlier too. Yeah. That was one of the things that I mentioned earlier also, man. It's something that I'm seeing right now a
and
lot
how
of.
does that work for you? I mean, given everything in your life that you've been through, how do you see and relate to that and try to have empathy and love for other people in those moments?
Yeah, I think a lot of the I'm gonna be honest with you. I went through like this maybe, I don't know, less than a year ago. I was at this superiority kind of like, I did it. How can you not? I did it. You know what I mean? Like, if you knew my life, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, I've said that.
All right, cool.
I fucking did it. You could do it. Don't give me that shit.
Right. Like I come on now. Let's not. But I agree with you. There's a moment, and I think the social, again, the social and emotional intelligence, training and just the time that I've been putting into it, and really knowing we all feel. So I'm like, oh, okay, like that's like the equal, like we're like the equalizer, whatever you want to call it. Like, we all feel. So there's a moment where I'm like, okay, hold on, we all feel. And then I'm like, oh, fear. So now I'm remembering, now I'm like reminiscing on fear and what fear feels like, and what someone who maybe has avoided fear historically what would they do in this time, right? Like you said, with everything, they're used to one specific way of life, showing up to a location or showing up to a specific, place, and using their hands and interacting in a certain way, and not really using technology much, and now that's gone. Now that does now all technology, and now the fear with that could come with that of, I'm not enough to learn this stuff. I don't
Great
I
point.
don't I don't matter enough, because obviously everything changed without my opinion, right? I don't belong because there's all these young young people that know technology and I don't know. So now it's like whatever mistaking or limiting belief people had, it's like double or triple, you know? And I mean, I get
Tornado.
chills, right, man? I get chills just like thinking about like just what other people must be feeling right now that have never been in that environment. And I'm like, all right, maybe, yeah. I mean, same, ditto, where I'm like, okay, let me chill out a little bit. Let me look at this and what can I do? You know, if anything, like if there's any, like what can I do? You know, and that's honestly, man, that's kind of like where walking with purpose came from. Cause I'm like, I know I like my journey and I know I'm learning a lot from my journey. So if I share my journey, someone might learn from it. And I know the organization that I use, you know, that's providing me with all this information has free resources. So if I share that too, then I'm putting something out there, you know, and I'm doing something in this situation that people are in. And then it allows me to also have more empathy, realizing that I'm feeling a lot of things that other people are feeling, or other people are feeling a lot of things that I'm feeling, and we're just feeling it at different levels, you know, and in different circumstances, and we're viewing them with different lenses, you know. And I'm like, damn, I've actually, it's like in this era of social distancing, I don't think it's like I'm connected, you know. I'm connected, and I'm looking forward to connecting more, you know, and finding more ways to connect. And so, yeah, man.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. That's beautiful what you just said. And you know, it's really goes back to being part of the solution, not part of the problem. And that's the thing. My buddy Scott, I mean, I say it all the fucking time. It's like, okay. And I say it at the end of my walk and talks, like, remember, be a part of the solution, not part of the problem. You know, but yeah, having that empathy for somebody. I mean, that's one of the things that helped heal me from the trauma that I had from my mom when I was a kid, and being nothing. I mean, I was told I was stupid. I was told to shut up, you know, to be seen, not heard. Somebody else had just commented on that. And so my self-confidence and my self-worth was dog shit for so many years. And to think about, like, when we were homeless, like I tell people this, I'm writing this book right now about her. And I tell people I won the lottery when we were homeless. We lived in this dirt bag motel. It was horrible. We stayed there, you know, for different times. And we actually won the lottery, and we still didn't get out of being homeless. And I was just like, I resented her and I hated her. And there was so many different things, and it was causing me problems, like we just said, outwardly in relationships, because now I was like, and this, and nobody's going to get to me, and I'm not going to let anybody take advantage of me, and I'm going to be strong, and I'm going to be successful on my own terms, and I'm the lone wolf and the lone ranger. And that really wasn't serving me. It was getting me successful, and it was getting me things, but it was not getting me that contentment in my heart, and to feel like, okay, this is really a kick-ass life. And I was like, okay, I got it. The anger. Why? Okay, I got to do something with that, because it's not helping me. And so I was like, okay. And my mom used to say this thing. She's like, when it was like her birthday or something like that, she would say she was 4 years old. I'm like, what does that mean? And as I was doing that child development and that research, I'm like, 4 years old. What? Okay, what was my 4 years old? My mom's parents got divorced. And I'm like, then she went to go live with her mom. And my grandmother was not a nice person. Not a nice person. So my poor mom was subjected to having the normal parent take off and being with that. So she literally went through what she put me through. And I was like, okay, so if I walk a mile in my mom's footsteps, still I can argue with the things that she did wrong or said wrong or whatever, you know, but I can understand and empathize. Like, she was that little girl that was beaten by her mom, you know, who was made to be so smart, and not like, she was book smart. She went to University of Santa Barbara when she was 16 years old. Wow. She graduated high school because my grandmother just made her be smart. But the one thing she wasn't smart at was people. And neither was my grandmother. And so my mom used to always tell me, she goes like, don't have kids because, you know, we're just terrible parents, and, you know, the history of violence will continue. And I'm like, no, it's not, because I'm going to choose to do whatever it is that I have to do to break that cycle. And part of that was not having resentment towards my mom, because she hated her mom. And I'm like, her mom probably hates her mom. And I'm like, okay, I got to figure out a way not to hate my mom, because guess what? And I have a perfect point on this, Edwin. I want to get your thoughts on this, because my sister, I have a half sister, different dad. I never knew my biological dad, and her life for the most part should have been normal. I mean, she wasn't homeless. I was stuck with my mom. My sister left when she was 16 years old, and it was crazy. And I went through all these different experiences, and then I reunited with my sister back in 2005. And I was shocked. I mean, literally shocked at how much she turned out exactly like my mom.
Wow.
And she hated her. And I was like, she's like, how did you turn out so good? Long story short. And I'm like, because I chose not to be like her. I chose to take the good qualities from her, but I chose to forgive her. I can't change any of the shit that she did, but guess what? I chose to make it work for me, and I'm pretty fucking happy. You are miserable. And I honestly, I had to wish her well. I had to, like, toxicity in my life. No way. She hated my mom, blamed her for everything, but she had the normal life. I'm like, you chose to be like her. And unless you get sympathy and empathy for her, you're going to continue to be miserable. And that's what I say to everybody out there. If you have anger and hostility in your heart towards somebody, put yourself in their situation. I mean, what do you think about that, Edwin?
Well, I think it's like you have anger and hostility towards yourself. It's what it is. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. I'm angry at this person for doing this, for doing this, for doing this to me. You're doing that to yourself, right? You're so focused on what this person did and not focused on how to change that pattern, right? So now you're literally retelling, you're reprogramming yourself constantly about what that person did to mess you up. So therefore you are messed up, right? Because you're telling yourself what this person did. Both of my mother and father were out of my life by the time I was 12 years old, and it was, there's a lot of pain and anger. There was a lot of pain and anger towards them also. Cause I'm like, y'all why didn't you think about me? Like, why didn't you do things to set things up and why, but also this anger that I had towards them was also this, I'm going to show you, right? I will show you. And that I will show you is kept going until, like, even if I showed, I would mess something up just to keep showing. Right? It's like, let me mess it, let me mess this up just so I can show that I can do it. Even though I'm broken, I can show you that I can rebuild again. And right. And then I'm like, hold on a second. I'm good. Like I've done really well, and I'm proud of the person that I'm becoming and that I've become. And honestly, realizing also it's hard for me to say that, it's hard for me to say that for myself and to accept it, but I want to embrace that more because I know my mom is proud of me. I know my dad is proud. Just the fact that I'm here right now, no matter what, what happened, what they went through, I know they're extremely proud of me. And, I went years not accepting that for myself, and thinking that I needed to do something in order for me to have that for myself. And realizing that what broke all that was me forgiving them. It was like, it's like, oh shit, like me holding on to all this is also me holding on to this, like, I learned
anger,
that, right? This anger, right? This anger, but also this like rat race burger, this what they call, like, it's like this like I have to earn this, 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 right? Where it's like I've earned it. I've earned it, and I can continue to earn it in different ways, and I can grow, and I could earn whatever I want to earn. But it's like I forgive them, and I love them, and I could only imagine what they went through, and I know, and it's like, and now there was a moment where I was talking to my coach, and he mentioned to me, Edwin, I never heard you talk like this about your mother, because I was just appreciating all the love. Like I was talking to you earlier, where my mother gave me so much affection and so much love. I wasn't able to say that before, Chris, because it's like let me hold on to this pain, like you were saying, let me hold on. Yeah, it's exactly. It's what fuels me. It's what keeps me going. Where it's like, nah, man, that's actually holding me back. Because I haven't stopped to feel it and to really, and to embrace it and to say, well, what does this do for me, and how has it served me, and what do I see in them, and what what is it? So, I mean, I'm still kind of fighting it with my father. It's something that I'm I'm working on, and I think it's I imagine it being a never-ending journey, to be honest with you. And at the same time, it's freaking cool, man. It's freaking cool to think how forgiveness could what it leads to.
Yes, I mean, it's truly a freeing experience. I mean, it's I have studied that subject. I was just finishing a book.
I lost you. You're muted.
touching anything.
There you are.
I did it yesterday. Or did it? I don't know. Did it someday? I can't remember. Anyways, crap. I forgot what I was talking about. What was I talking about? Edwin?
Your book. What book were you reading? You were saying the book.
About letting go and everything. It's like it's really magnificent. But we carry. That's what my sister did. She carried all these badges of honor. Like this proves that I'm a victim. This proves I'm a victim. And I had an epiphany. I had a huge epiphany in my 30s, and I was realizing I'm like, I have all these things, PlayStations and guitars and a 69 Charger, and I'm like, I'm like, I never play. And I was thinking back to what that therapist says. I keep that in my brain a lot, because I got a coloring book now, but I still don't do a great job of it. But I did have this epiphany. I'm like, work ethic. I got the work ethic from mom. Okay, mom, yeah, never went on a vacation with mom. Mom is always working. Mom was always proving. Mom was always trying to develop her ego and her sense of self-worth based on, being able to say that she was successful or say these different things because she didn't have the inner confidence and had done the real inner work for herself. And, it's when I thought back about it, I'm like, there's something here. And I'm like, oh wait, I feel guilty if I'm not proving myself. I feel guilty if I'm not earning somebody's respect. I feel guilty if I'm playing. And so I've really had to work. I still have to work on myself. I haven't been doing a good job of it lately because I'm so focused because I got screwed up also on work. Like what I do, I love to do. It's not work for me. I mean, helping people and doing these things is not work for me. So people were saying you're working too hard. I'm like, but I love what I do. But at the same time, having that epiphany that I felt guilty because if I wasn't busting my ass and trying to get my mom's, recognition or praise, then what was I doing? Then I was probably just living up to what she thought. So I spent my entire life, even getting a master's degree. I had to beg my mom to come to my graduation, to come to my master's degree. I'm like, Mom, your son got a master's degree. Yeah, I got to work. And I'm like, if you're not there, I swear to God, I'll never speak to you again. And that's kind of what it came down to. But, it's amazing what we have in our brains that kind of prevent us from being happy. But when we forgive and we let go and we sit there and say, how is this serving me? That simple question of how is this serving me? And again, in some situations, people have argued with me like, you can't forgive. And that is tough in some situations, but you have to, if you can at least sit there and say, okay, it happened for me because now I'm at this point in my life where I could do something with it and be a better influence on other people.
Right.
Then it gives it all meaning. I mean, that's the way I look at it.
I agree. As the data, man, the pain, there's information in that pain. And I think I believe I can use that information for myself. I could use that information to express it with others. I could even use that information to tell them, hey, listen, you hurt me by doing this, this, and this.
Yeah.
And who knows what that can do for that person, and so I'm all about that.
Yeah, no, it's so funny. It's so funny because we've been just riffing. Normally I stop and I check in on the comments, but we've just been like totally in flow. So let me go capture some of these comments.
Yeah.
Because there's let's see. So Pamela's actually my other co-host. She's a dear friend of mine on another show that I do. So I'm just out there just rocking it, trying to get in front of people and help people. So Pamela's a dear sweetheart friend of mine. She says some of the best people I know had terrible childhoods, and some of the most unhappy and frankly angry and abusive people I know had perfectly good parents. We really do choose who we want to become. Well said, Pam. Thank you. Yes,
I love that. I love that, Pam.
I've seen both situations, like when I had the people that had everything and they're like, I'm mad my parents didn't hold me accountable and make me do chores. I'm like, you probably weren't like that when you were a kid.
Right. You didn't want that.
Yeah. I mean, it's, Pam says this, I saw this earlier. She says, you see your daughter like your mom saw you.
That's cool. Thanks.
Yeah.
Man.
Look at that.
I appreciate that. That's cool.
Robert, hey, good evening, Robert. Thank you for being here tonight. I saw and heard direct evidence that I pulled back to the ideal circle of friends. That's good. I think that's good.
I'm wondering. Yeah. I'm wondering. Yeah. What's behind that one?
Robert said again, Edwin, you just triggered that jukebox in my mind again. The Voice by Ultravox. I don't know what that one is.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Paul from up in Canada says, don't shoot on yourself. No, don't shoot on yourself. Definitely. Definitely don't do that. Let's see. Scott says breaking the cycle is hard, but necessary. Yes, you have to. I mean, you got to say stop every once in a while. You got to realize, is this working for me or against me? That simple question alone and anything that we do can really, make things happen.
Right.
Definitely make things happen. So I got one final question for you because I want to respect your time. I know you got a lot of things on your plate. I mean, hours already passed by. You got to come back on the show. And we got to riff about some other
Oh my
stuff.
gosh, yeah, we do for sure. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, you're amazing, and you're making people think. We're making people think. So thank you, man, for being on here.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
So here's my question for you, brother. No pressure. No pressure.
Okay.
So you got a microphone, right? We got microphones.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you a microphone. You got a microphone to the youth of America and the entire world. The entire youth of the world is listening to you right now. What advice do you have for them to take this period in our life and use that for fuel and motivation and leverage to make the world a better place while they're here?
It's okay to feel. It's okay. It's okay to feel, and it's okay to express how you feel in different ways, in different forms, in different environments, through art, through through writing, through your voice, through whatever you want to call it. And I think it's important that we use our feelings to fuel our voice. And I believe that as a youth, there's a mission, and the mission is to be yourself, to be the best version of yourself, and not to be scared to explore and and connect. And even during these times, during these really, really weird times, still make eye contact, still be open to embrace others, and still be open to, maybe your parents not having a childhood of feeling and not having a childhood of expression, and how I think the youth can teach us a lot. And that's my message.
Beautiful, beautiful, brother. Thank you so much for everything you shared tonight. Being the guest I knew you would be, just riffing back and forth, just sharing, personal stories and things that worked. I love the fact that our paths have been similar. And the fact that what I really love about you, Edwin, is that you're so open to exploring and seeing that. And you guys, you got to check out his Walking with a Purpose videos, connect with Edwin. Again, just really beautiful insights, and you're very eloquent in how you share it and how you really share your soul with what it is that you're going on and what you're doing. So, man, that's mad respect. And I just appreciate you so much for what you bring to the world, what you bring to your family, what you bring to the viewers here tonight, and just being a beautiful friend. So thank you so much. I look forward to having more conversations with you. Where can people get a hold of you and if they want to connect with you as well?
For sure. So, you can find me on Facebook. Edwin Moreno, I'm on Facebook. Also, through my website, probably be easier to get to my Facebook. It's www.winmoreinsurance.com.
And put that up there too. I usually have that up here. So here we go.
Yeah, so I'm at winmoreinsurance.com. That's that's my agency website, and then again through there you can find my Facebook page. And at the same time, I'm Mogul Minds Network. I co-host some episodes through there as well, and good group of guys here in Chicago. So sometimes they share my talks also. So if you search for them, you'll see my Walking with Purpose. And that's where you can find me.
Awesome, brother. Awesome. I'm going to put you backstage for a second and close out the show, and then we'll catch up a little bit. But thank you, brother, for being here. I appreciate you.
Welcome.
I think you're awesome.
Love you too, bro. Thank you.
You got it. Hey, so I'm working really hard on staying to 45 minutes to an hour. So respecting your guys' time. I love talking with my guests. I love the fire and the energy that we can exchange in order to help you, again, like I said at the top of the show, so we can help you guys have that little perspective shift. If what Edwin and I shared tonight, if you had a little bit of perspective shift, go explore that, go talk with other people. I mean, we emphasize the fact of communication and listening, and the fact that we're all going through something. So why not share those feelings? Why not go expose yourself a little bit and be raw, be vulnerable, and grow, and just use this experience and this time to become a stronger version of yourself, and to let go of the things that aren't working for you, and the behaviors and the attitudes and the beliefs that aren't working for you, and cut yourself a break. Again, we talked about the emotional intelligence aspect of it and the child development aspect of it. So if you missed that part, if you came in late, go back and check out the beginning, because it's so super important to understand the fact that we don't have the capability to really understand the things that are going on in the world. And when you look back and you think about the teachers and the parents and the family members and the friends and anybody else that was an influence in your life, your church organization, and you think about, were those people the best possible people to raise me and give me the tools that I need to be successful in this life. And maybe they weren't. Maybe they did the best with what they could. And maybe they just carried on traditions from their previous life. But obviously, Edwin and I are here today to tell you to your face, if we can do something, you can do it. And I'm not afraid to say that. I'm not afraid to say that. When people say, Chris, you're an anomaly, I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm just determined. It's just a choice I make. Yes, is it uncomfortable? Yes, does it hurt? Yes. Do I get all these different things? Yes. But I stay unstoppable because I'm like, okay, tomorrow's a new day. I'm blessed to be here. So while I'm here, I'm going to live while I'm alive. Bon Jovi says it. I'm going to live while I'm alive. I'm not going to play the someday game. I'm not going to sit there and bitch, piss, and moan about shit I can't change. I'm going to focus on what it is that I can impact. If I'm here for 3 more minutes or 3 more years or 30 more years, I'm just going to focus on what I can do to impact, what I can do to grow, what I can do to make the world a better place, what I can do to be a better father. By choice. You guys got to choose that. You got to choose to take the information and go do something with it, or say, oh, that was really inspiring. That's what you guys got to do. That's what we got to do as a world, as a humanity, and lean on each other more and respect each other more and have empathy for each other more, instead of judging and assuming and pontificating without having that conversation. So I really encourage you guys to do that. I love you guys so much for being here. Hey, Christy Jones, good to see you. All of you guys, thank you, Angel, for being here. All the comments, really, really appreciate you guys. If this thing struck you, if this show struck you, please share it. Please. More people need to have and listen to these kind of conversations. There's a lot of people out there talking right now, but how many people are really sharing the raw, vulnerable truth of how it is that you can get past your own excuses and move forward in your life so that you don't have those regrets later on? You guys see my Facebook posts, always no regrets, no regrets. Regrets scare the shit out of me. So how do you not have regrets? You take action today. You jump today. You figure it out. You go forward. You get your bumps and bruises and you get stronger, right? What doesn't kill me only makes me stronger. Remember? All right, guys, I love you so much. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you again, Edwin Moreno, for being here and for being an awesome dad and encouraging your daughter to communicate and talk and that her feelings matter. So anyways, I love you guys. Stay kick-ass and be sure to, as always, stay unstoppable. All right, guys.